So here we have some gorgeous large Brussels sprouts. And typically when people cook Brussels sprouts, we tend to just cut them in half, roast them on a baking sheet, and that's that. And that's totally delicious way to do it. But today I wanted to show you a slightly different way for this salad. And that is slicing the Brussels sprouts super thinly so that they make a nice salad. So what I've done here, I've cut the Brussels sprout in half, and now I'm just slicing each half. And those little ends that I'm putting in the bowl on the right there are just the little ends that you don't need. They're tough ends. So let's see that again. Just go ahead and cut the Brussels sprout in half. You don't have to trim off anything. And then from the top, keeping the tip of your knife on the cutting board, just cut all the way down to the core. And just discard of that last little bit. And you'll end up with some nice shaved Brussels sprouts. And then once you've done all your Brussels sprouts, go ahead and stick them in a bowl and set them aside. Now on to the apple. I like to core my apple in a really simple way, just by cutting around the core. So I make the first cut, which creates a flat surface, and then I just cut around the core, cutting off the bits as close to the core as I can, but you can see I haven't hit any seeds or anything. And then I just thinly slice each piece, keeping the tip of my knife on the cutting board to these nice wedges. Gotta try one. And those are really nice for your salad. If you like slightly smaller pieces, you can cut those wedges in half as well. But I just go ahead and do every single piece this way. It makes for a really nice, evenly cut apple. And you don't have to bother with getting out a core or anything else. I just find this is a really simple way to do it, especially if you're doing a lot of apples. In this case, I think it's just 1 or 2 in the recipe, but it's just a really nice way to do it. And those apple core, you can either compost it or you can save them in your freezer, and once you get a bunch, make apple cider vinegar out of them. That's for another day. On to ginger. Here I have a nice fresh ginger root, and I wanted to show you a couple of different ways of doing ginger. One way is with my microplane, which some of you know I absolutely love. And you can see I didn't even peel the ginger. I just run the ginger root on my microplane, which is nice and sharp. And this basically makes ginger paste. You don't have to worry about getting rid of the skin because it just kind of gets grated right in there. And most of the time that's how I do ginger, because it's easy. If there's a reason that you want to peel and cut the ginger, you can just use a spoon. That's just a regular old teaspoon. And I'm just scraping the skin off. I promise, it just comes right off. You don't need to use a knife. And you lose a lot less than if you were to use a knife for that. So I have my peeled ginger, and I just cut off the peeled part. And then what I do is just slice the peeled ginger into fairly thin slices. It's kind of fibrous, but you can cut right through that with a sharp knife. And then just run my knife through it to create a nice mince. Be careful of your fingers. And then just run it through. You'll get little chunks of ginger. For as long as you go, you'll get smaller pieces if you keep chopping. So there you have your minced ginger there on the right. And then on the left there, that's your ginger paste. You can use either one for this recipe, totally up to you. Onto the garlic. I have a couple of garlic cloves here. And to peel it, I'm just going to give it a good whack with the knife, and that peel should just pop right off. And the other one too, I think I already whacked that one, so that peel just came right off. Ha, there we go. Easy. Got my garlic cloves, and people often ask me, how the heck do you chop garlic? So you can see I just started, kind of like with the ginger, I just started by slicing. And I go all the way to the end. I don't do that tough end bit because nobody likes to really run into that in their food. So I discard that, compost that, and then again, just make a little pile on my cutting board and just run my knife through there. I'm keeping my tip of the knife on the cutting board as my guide and just going back and forth with my nice sharp knife. Another way to do garlic, and in fact, the way I also do it is with my microplane. Same thing, peeled clove of garlic. And it makes a finer, more of a paste. And I use this most of the time, just really because it's easier. It takes less time. Just a quick word about the miso. There are many varieties for this particular recipe. I chose the white mellow miso. It's got a really mild flavor. And it looks like peanut butter, don't be fooled, but it's a salty paste that's full of umami.